Hello and welcome back to Baseball Bunch. Today we're talking about the Yankees. We're doing the Yankees preview. We did the Met one the other day. That is available now. And the Islanders, force of habit. The Yankees are a very differently constructed baseball team than the Mets. Look at the batting average for a big difference there. The Yankees, despite having a stronger runs per game by a decent margin, the Yankees do it in a much different way. They do it by slugging their way through games. And obviously playing in Yankee Stadium helps that. But they've also had a bunch of guys who weren't previously sluggers. DJ LeMahieu, I don't think Hicks was a slugger. Torres, some guys that have figured out ways to punch the ball into right field and hit that short porch. And you would kind of think that LeMahieu would have had good power numbers in Colorado, where it's a hitter's paradise. But he has really turned it on since becoming a Yankee. Obviously, he won a batting title with each team. But the slugging number, even though it's 430, it's not extremely impressive. It's improved since he came over to New York. Aaron Judge betting at 2. It's funny that those are his numbers. That's a good slash line. It's an excellent slash line. 272, 390 on base is really funny because he strikes out so much. But it's basically, they talk about, 3 outcome hitters. He walks, he strikes out, and he hits homers. That's kind of his thing, Aaron Judge. Aaron Hicks, I would like to be moved down the lineup. I think the last couple of years, they've kind of fallen in love with him near the 2 or the 3 spot. But I don't know. I really, I think you can probably maybe start the season like that, but I'd love to see Torres get back in that top area. Or, here's a crazy idea, Clint Frazier, who career numbers-wise, on-base percentage is almost exactly Hicks's, but much better slugging, better average. I think Clint Frazier needs to be, they kind of need to release him. Not like that. I mean, actually just let him play his game. I think Jay Bruce now, losing Voit was a big loss. Obviously, he would probably be batting, somewhere in that middle of that lineup. But honestly, if they can get Jay Bruce and or Mike Ford, if he comes up going, the Yankees have good depth. So that's a good thing when it comes to injuries, because the Yankees always have to deal with injuries. Stanton at that 4 spot, it's, the exact spot for him. He was great last year, had an excellent playoff run, and kind of felt like A-Rod in 09 minus the World Series, but maybe that can kind of get, the press, not the press, but more so the fans' office back in New York a little bit. That's enough about the lineup. And Gio Urshela should be batting up higher up the lineup. Gio Urshela is like an excellent defender, and he hits for a really good average. His career average is 273, but I believe he was right on top of 300 the last 2 years. So, I think probably I would have right now Bruce batting at the bottom of the lineup, but, it's only a 1 spot difference. Pitching is going to be the story of this team no matter what, in terms of, how good they are. Are they going to be an elite playoff team, or are they going to be what they've been the last couple of years, which is a team that, wins around, gets knocked out, and we all collectively get angry at the pitching again. Garrett Cole is Garrett Cole. He should be fine. He had some hiccups last year. But playing in Yankee Stadium, you had to expect, it goes both ways for the offense and the pitching. Kluber and Taillon are obviously kind of, dangerous flyers because they could go either way. Those could both be amazing, or they could both completely fall apart because you've got Kluber, who's got a lot of mileage on him, and you've got Taillon, who's dealt with a lot. Cancer, I think he had I think it was an Achilles surgery. He's gone through a lot. He hasn't pitched a lot over the last couple of years. And, so that's pretty difficult. Severino, you don't have coming back for a while from Tommy John. Davey Garcia, still there. He had a decent spring. He had 1 bad outing that made it look like he had a bad spring. But I still think that Garcia has a shot at winning a job at some point, even though the rotation isn't terrible. I know I just, was talking about how it's going to be live or die by this rotation, but I think it might be able to get them by. Herman, though, it's a weird spot for Herman because of obviously the off-the-field assault stuff. Pretty bad. And I'm happy to hear that the teammates were not extremely welcoming of him back to the clubhouse, which is a weird thing to say, but I don't think you should just welcome that guy back in. He's kind of got to prove, like Luke Voigt said, he's got to prove that he's changed and that, he's going to be able to move forward from this. And yeah, I'm glad the team stuck up a little bit there. But yeah, so yeah, I kind of hope that Garcia or Loizaga, who's, he's fine. I think of him more as a long relief pitcher with a couple spot starts. Clark Schmidt is on the 60-day DL, we just found out today. And Michael King, who has kind of struggled. So yeah, the depth is a little bit scary because the depth also has injury histories. And/or isn't that proven? So a little bit worrying. The bullpen is a little bit worse off without Adam Ottavino, although it is an adventure with Adam Ottavino sometimes, but it is a fun name to say. Zach Britton is hurt for the beginning of the season. That is not helpful. Chad Green, Justin Wilson, and Darren O'Day are going to have to pick up the slack a little bit. First couple of games, Chapman is suspended because of the Perceau stuff, so that's fun. Chad Green, I would guess, gets the opportunity to save. Maybe. I like Chad Green, but I know that it's been, very back and forth for him. But the bullpen in general kind of scares me as well because career ERAs in that group, not excellent. And O'Day and Wilson was pretty good last year, so I'll leave him out. But Darren O'Day, I don't know. He's getting up there. I don't know if he still has, he's always got that delivery that can help deceive a little bit, but does he still have the ability to pitch at a high level and high leverage situations? So team ERA last year was actually okay. They were 14th batting average and ERA. So that worries me a little bit. I worry that the team is maybe a little bit of are they being buoyed by playing in a division that last year wasn't great? This year, maybe one more contender with the Blue Jays, although the Jays weren't bad last year, but over the course of a full season, we don't know how it would have gone. That's pretty much all I was going to say about the Yanks. I guess Sanchez is obviously somebody we're going to be watching this year because it really feels like it's the last shot for Gary Sanchez. And yeah, he's got to get better defensively because Kyle Higashioka last year Higashioka starting in a playoff game kind of showed me that Gary Sanchez is very close to done with this team, because if Higashioka is hitting, which he was in the playoffs, and if he's he's the guy that most of the pitchers prefer, I don't know. You kind of can't go back to Gary at that point. And you kind of lost the point where you could trade him and get something good back. So I think this is just it. This is a tryout year for Gary. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I want to see Clint Frazier get a shot this year. And Tauchman. The Yankees have too many outfielders. I love Brett Gardner, but I don't know if it was the best move to re-sign him with the amount of depth outfielders we have. But maybe they're banking on injuries again, which is fair. And that's all I've got in terms of analysis for the Yankees. I'm thinking that they'll probably stick around that ERA number, even though it's a much different rotation. So it's going to be a much different way of getting to it. But kind of feel like that's around the ERA, and Cole kind of is helping that in a scenario where the rotation doesn't end up too good. The offense should be fine. The batting average should probably it might go up a little bit it'll probably stay the same. But the runs per game, they're able to slug their way into games, and that's it. So it's a different way of getting to it, but I kind of think the Yankees and the Mets are very comparable this year, despite being completely different teams in construction. So I'm going to say the Yankees win 95 games as well, and I'm going to say that the Yankees win the division. I think it could be a little bit tougher of a division than people would think, because I think everybody's considering the Yankees, the Rays, and Toronto as teams that are going to be competing, and that Boston and Baltimore are going to be, bad to really bad. But Baltimore's got some offense, no pitching whatsoever. And the Red Sox have very little pitching and a good offense. So that's the same thing. But basically what I'm saying is both of those teams can be feisty. And you also never know what's going to happen in the Yankee-Red Sox game. You do know that it's going to be a 4-hour game. You don't know who's going to win. But, yeah, so the Yankees, say they get 95. I'm not completely sold on Toronto's rotation, and I'm not completely sold now on the Rays' rotation. I still think the Rays are a good team. I think they get the wild card. But Toronto is going to be breathing down their necks. So that's the video. Now I have to film the Islanders recap that I don't want to film because I'm very angry at them right now. But I guess I'm going to look forward to baseball season a little bit as well. Not writing the Islanders off yet, but please, Lou, get somebody. That's the video. Baseball bunch. I got it right this time. We'll see you eventually.